Hello, and welcome to this emergency podcast edition of Talking Hoosier Baseball. Today is Wednesday, March 18th, 2026. I am Carl James, joined by Cassidy Palmer. Um, Been a long time since we've had an emergency podcast. I think it was the hiring of Mercer's first
First,
assistant
uh-huh.
coaches. No, it was his
Yep.
assistant coaches. That was the
Yeah.
first emergency podcast when we
Yep.
started getting the names of the assistant coaches coming in.
Yep. Yep.
So it has been a while since we've
It has.
gotten together for an emergency
Which
podcast.
which I'm gonna say is typically a good thing. When
Yes.
you don't have to do something with the word emergency in front of it.
Mhm.
Usually a good thing.
Yeah. And kind of in this case too, although it's the scale is a little bit different. This
Right.
one has been introduced on not by the Indiana program, but by the Big Ten Conference. Uh, and I did a point of, when I was preparing everything, I looked up stuff online. I noticed that the tiebreaker rule had changed year over year. I did that. That was over, I think, almost 2 months ago that I found that, which was just a very slight adjustment, which was a
Yeah.
positive adjustment in
Yeah.
that if you have three or more teams tied, um, and one of those teams has won the series against every other or lost the series against every other, they dropped either the top or the bottom, without
Makes sense.
all of the teams having to have played each other. And I think that makes
Because that
perfect
just
sense.
doesn't happen.
Yeah. Um,
Or not consistently.
yeah. So that's not a big deal. But what brings us here today is about the format of the Big Ten tournament. So to start off, I will actually both share the screen for those on video and read aloud the press release. Okay. You got it, Cass? Is it showing up there?
Yep.
Okay.
It is showing it.
All right. Rosemont, Illinois. The Big Ten Conference announced today that tickets are on sale for the 2026 Big Ten Conference Baseball Tournament presented by IFS.AI, which takes place May 19th through 24th at Charles Schwab Field in Omaha, Nebraska. All session tickets can be purchased by clicking at the click link there. You can go to the big10.org to see this. Single game tickets will be available on May 13th. The Big Ten postseason tournament featuring 12 teams will have a new look this spring. The first 3 days of the tournament will feature a double elimination bracket, pairing 8 teams seeded numbers 5 through 12. 4 games will be held on Tuesday, May 19th, Wednesday, May 20th, and 2 games contested on Thursday, May 21st, to produce 4 qualifiers. Now, when I first read this, I thought, oh, this might be interesting. The 4 advancing teams, this is where it gets good, will face seeds number 1 through 4 in single elimination quarterfinals on Friday, May 22nd. This might be the part in which heads start to scratch. Semifinals take place Saturday, May 23rd, followed by the championship game on Sunday, May 24th. So we've got a quote here from Rutgers head coach Steve Owens. The new tournament format for the Big Ten is an important and positive change for our conference. The chair of the Big Ten coaches group said the double elimination portion guarantees teams at least 2 meaningful games with a chance to advance to the single elimination quarterfinals. At the same time, the single elimination portion rewards the top 4 teams from the regular season and sets up an exciting week for players and fans alike at Charles Schwab Field. End quote. I've met Steve Owens. This is not how he talks. Uh, sorry. Actually, Steve Owens is a pretty cool guy, but he's also very, very down to business. And this isn't he's not into this marketing talk. So I have more respect for Steve Owens than that. So all 17 tournament games will be carried live by the Big Ten Network. The tournament champion receives the conference's automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. Nebraska has captured the last 2 tournament titles, drawing over 15,000 spectators to last year's final. That's a point that will come about here pretty soon. 3 Big Ten teams are currently ranked in the national polls. UCLA is the consensus #1 ranked team, while USC is listed at number 10 and Oregon at number 13. Of course, they go by perfect game, which we do not. We go by D1, and USC and UCLA and Oregon are a little bit lower. Oregon just cracked at 21 after sweeping IU. Yeah, and then again, it'll be at Charles Schwab Field, and we will discuss that piece as well. So I'm going to stop sharing. Well, no, actually, take that back. I'm now going to flip over to the bracket. Do we have the bracket up there now,
We
Cass?
do.
Okay, I'm going to also shrink the screen down. I don't
Yeah, that was
know,
going to be my recommendation.
so that we can see this framed properly. I'm not sure how well it's going to pick up. Of course, I might just overlay it in the editing if I have to.
Yeah.
But so if, and again, I had to see the bracket to understand what they were talking about. So essentially, what you have are these two double elimination tournaments that are happening. So here's one up here, and this includes seeds 5, 8, 9, and 12. The other one includes seeds 6, 7, 10, and 11. So out of this double elimination tournament will come two qualifiers. The team that goes 2-0 essentially in each one of these will advance through. So they win Tuesday, they win Wednesday, they will advance to Friday. They get to skip Thursday, they advance to Friday. And on Friday, they will face either the 3 seed or the 4 seed, who will be playing their first game of the tournament. In the other scenario, uh, the two losers on Tuesday, in each one there will be a losers bracket game. So it'll be a winners bracket game on Wednesday and a losers bracket game on Wednesday, and that's for each of these two brackets. So eventually you have two winners bracket games, two losers bracket games. The losers of the losers bracket games go home. So that's their second game. They go 0-2, as they say, 2 in a queue. They go home. The winner of that will then play the loser of the winners bracket game on Thursday. And then your reward for having gone 2-1 is to then play a completely fresh UCLA, the number one team in the country, most likely the number one seed. That is your reward for having played 3 straight games and winning 2 of them. Is you will take your depleted bullpen up against the number one team in the country with their bullpen completely fresh and their ace throwing. That's the reward.
I'm not sure I call that a reward. That sounds more like punishment.
Yeah, so you're going to get run ruled on national television with absolutely no hope of, because then what is your other option? You've played 3 games. Now your option is to beat the top 4 teams, 3 of the top 4 teams in the conference in single games. So you will end up playing um yeah, end up playing wait, yeah, 6 games in 6 days. And the last 3 will be against the best teams in the conference. Um I I'm trying to think of any team that would be in that 5 to 12 range that would have pitching that's capable of doing that.
I'm not even convinced that the top teams have pitching
Yeah.
to do that, let alone seeds 5 through 12. I'm not sure that the first 4 could do that.
And the other aspect of that, so that's just the, and then like, well, you've got to do well in order to 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 be able to compete for an automatic bid. And I don't disagree with that. But this bracket assumes that this isn't just, sacrificial lamb time. I mean, you look at the basketball brackets, which are single elimination. Um, yes, if you're playing in that first day, that is really tough because you have to win 5 games in a row.
Yes.
But each of those steps in and of itself isn't crazy. So yes, because you have those intermediary buys. So
Yeah.
you win on the first day, you go to the second day, you're playing someone who hasn't who hasn't played yet, but you've played 1 game.
Right.
and it's clearly not unheard of in the basketball tournaments that the team
Right.
that came in, and in fact, to some degree, hey, you're more adjusted to the sight lines because some of the sight lines in these places are weird,
Weird.
and you've got a little bit more momentum, and if you've got a slightly
Hmm.
deeper team, you may be okay. But if the better team wins, then they're only one day off from playing the double bye team.
Right.
Um, and there's been plenty of cases where teams that were not in the top four in these basketball tournaments go on to win these tournaments.
Yeah.
Um, this division line now, yeah, there is a division between the 2 and 3 line. Because the 2 and 3 line, both of them play on Friday,
Yeah.
but 1 and 2 will play a team that's already lost a game and has played three straight.
Yeah.
So that is beyond crazy.
Right.
3 and 4, not quite as crazy. You're playing a team that just won 2 games and has had a day off.
Yeah.
So that's not quite as bad.
It's not great, but it's not insane.
It's not insane. And especially that first game, okay, you probably still have a weekend starter available.
Yeah.
But if the team does win that, they then have to go beat the 1 and 2 seeds
Who've only played one game.
who've only played 1 game, and now you're on your fourth. So that's insane. But then think about the distinction then between being the 4 seed and being the 5 seed,
Hmm.
which may come down to the they may have the same record, and it may come down to their record against a common opponent, like how
Yeah.
they each did against Minnesota one
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah. Which is That's a huge advantage for such a small
Yeah.
difference.
So essentially, what does this mean? If you look back at the Big Ten tournament over the last, um, I mean, really going back to 2015, the Big Ten tournament winner has been a bid stealer most of the time.
And that's
Uh,
not necessarily a bad thing.
No, that is how the Big Ten has gotten more teams into the tournament.
Hmm.
Nebraska does not go to the tournament last year if they don't win
Yeah.
this tournament.
Yeah.
And they were what? I think they were the 9 seed.
Something like that.
Yeah, they were the 9 seed.
Yeah.
So Nebraska, essentially the host, they've gotten into the NCAA tournament twice now by winning this automatic bid
Yeah.
um, through this tournament. And not with a without necessarily having an at-large resume. Now,
Yeah.
now you look at it, it was like, well, they shouldn't be that easy. Okay,
It wasn't easy.
they had to beat both of the co-champions
Yeah.
to do it.
Yeah.
I think and they had to win 4 games. They had to win all 4 games they played in the tournament. They could not lose.
Right.
And that's what they did. And they beat
Yeah.
both co-champions.
Yeah.
One in their pod and one in the championship game.
Yeah.
Um, this is baseball. And one of the reasons that they sold us on last year's format was nobody is going to have to play more than 4 games.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, the play-in teams, because they're not really invited to the tournament. They're invited to this
Yeah.
secondary tournament that's starting.
Pre-tournament.
Yeah. And it's really funny because I've just been arguing about basketball, saying you can't say that the stuff in Dayton isn't part of the tournament. It is part of the tournament.
It-
I'm now arguing that no, this isn't part of the tournament.
Well,
This is some
well,
exhibition thing that's provided early on.
well, baseball and basketball are two different
Hmm.
things. It's routine to play a lot of games in a very short time, and there's not the, I'm going to say, specialization that you get with pitching,
Yeah,
particularly starters. You don't have that same kind of restriction. Your starting five are typically your starting five,
yeah.
no matter.
So, and of course when Patrick Ebert broke this for D1 in his article, he talked with Coach Mark Wazakowski out of Oregon. Um,
Yeah, because he's the one to talk to as one of the teams that's probably going to be top four.
yeah. Who, by the way, did not make it to the semifinals last year.
Yeah,
because Nebraska beat them in their pod. Um, and but Wazakowski does have a tenure with the Big Ten that goes beyond his time at Oregon because he did
sure.
coach for 3 years at Purdue.
Yeah.
Um, when they went in as the number 2 seed at one year when he was a coach there. That's kind of what got him the resume piece he needed to be able to get out back out west where he really wanted to be. So, but he did stress he was talking about wanting to protect the top seeds. Um, but I gave this some thought, and to me, I'm like, so what does this do? Who does this benefit? Um, Now I will say, I will completely grant that getting rid of the dead games is a good thing. That piece of it, I don't disagree with. So there aren't any games where the tournaments where they're completely meaningless. When Indiana
Right.
and Iowa played last year, it was meaningless. Iowa was going to advance regardless, and they had to win the tournament in order to make the NCAA tournament. So because of that, Iowa basically, threw out a bunch of younger pitchers who had been having command issues and gave them an opportunity to get some work. Um, Now I don't know necessarily why they didn't hit, but they didn't hit. And I use pitchers. I use two graduate student pitchers, shut them out. Um, and and I get that it was. Uh, I understood the reason for the. I did understand the reason for the pod, and yes, I didn't necessarily like that there were 3 unconsequential games. And yes,
Hmm.
it was worse than the ACC when the ACC did it because when the ACC did it, the top 4 seeds were all fighting for seeding in the national tournament, and whether it was to become a host or to get into a top 8 seed, every one of their games mattered. And
Hmm.
this was a really unusual case, this Iowa Indiana game last year, where it was a nationally televised game that had zero consequence for either team. That was weird. And from that, maybe I understood. I also understand the desire to come up with try to work out a different format. But I actually kept pretty quiet about it. I'm like, I'm not. I mentioned that it was a dead game. I didn't want to make a big deal of it, partially because I did not want to give the Big Ten the opportunity to do what they are doing right now, and that is to go to the drawing board and come up with something way worse. And that's what they have done. I
Yeah.
would much prefer the pool format,
Yeah.
that at least every team that's invited to the tournament can legitimately win it.
Yeah.
I will
Well,
absolutely guarantee you the automatic bid from the Big Ten is going to come out of the top 4 teams.
oh yeah.
And there is one winner that's going to come out of this. And that is whichever 12 and 18 in their conference SEC team that
Right.
shouldn't be in the NCAA tournament is going to back into it because the Big Ten refuses to allow a bid stealer.
Yep.
And it's just the Big Ten is just shooting themselves in the foot.
Yeah.
And I think Nick
Well.
Rotacap uh, was the one that said this in the
Hmm.
in the most clear way. I will quote his tweet: "Nobody hates Big Ten baseball more than the Big Ten," and
Seems
that's
about right.
that's that's where we're that's where we're at. So
And to me, even beyond the the issues of how many games, how many days, all of that, the format itself. I'm a logistics person, and you personally have experienced what it's like when they banked on being able to play 4 games a day across multiple days at this time of year in really any of the country, but particularly Nebraska. And that's not a winning idea. And this is calling for a guaranteed 4 games across what, 3 different days?
Yep.
The only one is Thursday on the front end, and then of course Saturday, Sunday as teams are
Oh,
eliminated.
and I can assure you this is not the schedule. This is not how it's going to land. There
I
will
don't
be
know that
another
it
game
can.
on there'll be another game on Friday because which will then means that not just that, but there will be teams playing doubleheaders.
Double headers at the end when it,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
because there's going to and it doesn't just have to be weather. We could
yeah,
have a game go crazy into extra innings.
yeah,
And because that actually happened at the one I went to. Because the one I
yeah.
went to, now at least they are starting on Tuesday. There's at least that going
I
on.
don't think they could otherwise
Right.
with this
The
format.
one I went to, but it has potentially just as many games, but there are in the old format, the 8 team double elimination, there were two if necessary games,
Necessary.
which
Yeah.
helped. So in that year, the year I'm talking about is 2022, there were 16 games played. If there had been 17, oh my goodness, that would have been nuts. Um, because yeah, I was at game 13. And if IU had won game 13, game 14 would have been the following morning. I say
Mm.
following morning, not really. It would have been later the same morning
Same.
because this
Uh,
game started at 12:30 in the morning.
uh-huh. Yeah. Oh yeah. Well,
Because
and
it was downpouring in Nebraska in Omaha for 36 hours straight.
un, unplayably.
Yes, it never I mean it was uh I mean, I actually remember, parking in downtown Omaha and my kid and I, getting getting the umbrella out and just trying to walk 2 blocks with just
Yeah.
absolute downpour. And it was like this for like 36 hours.
Yeah. Yeah. It can also be absolutely gorgeous. Like
Yes.
there's
Oh yeah, when
it's
the weather's nice, yeah.
right. But when it's not nice, it tends to be very not nice.
Yeah.
And that's a problem. And I don't know how they're going to handle it. And even the idea of and I'm in the group that by and large Big Ten tournament belongs in Omaha. Like they're outside of them having other like the year the Big East claimed it because Creighton is somehow in Big East. That's at the same
Well,
time the Big Ten doesn't have 10 teams, so I
yeah,
get
I
it.
think that was simply because the Big Ten was somewhere else. So,
Well,
um,
that was no, because they preempted it because they didn't have a plan for Big Ten to be somewhere, and that's why Big Ten ended up being in Indiana.
oh, okay.
And so because
Oh,
they had been doing
yeah,
the trade off with Target
right. And I
Field,
think they had already cut off the was it Target Field? Is that right?
yeah, Target
Yeah,
Field.
they cut off the Target Field contract, and then it was like,
Oh no!
yeah, and they hadn't communicated, and the new contract didn't start for the next year, so it ended up coming to the BART. And boy, it rained that week too in
Uh-huh.
Bloomington. But of course, the BART you can in a drizzle type rain, which it was for like 12 hours, you can actually play through that at the BART, which they
Yeah,
did.
drizzle to not moderate-ish rain
Yeah,
you can play through, but the heavy stuff and anything electric,
yeah.
not so much. And I don't dislike the idea of once every few years going elsewhere, particularly if you can get a major league ballpark just for that kind of cool experience. And honestly, there's not a bad like if you could time it out well, something like Chicago could be pretty interesting because you've got 2 ballparks you can play with there.
Yeah.
But I argue my argument's always if Big Ten basketball can be at Madison Square Garden in a state that technically does not have a Big Ten team, there's no reason that the Big Ten tournament in baseball can't be at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. But yeah, I think there could be some cool ideas there. But the one, some of the big areas like Indy is a typical host area for lots of Big Ten tournament stuff. It just can't be on the list for this one
Well,
because of
yeah,
the little race happening at the same
yeah,
time.
yes. Now, given who is the most to benefit from this tournament format, which is another SEC team, my hope is that this was communicated to the SEC, and the deal was we'll stop our bid stealing and allow you another team into the tournament uh, if you will stop fighting us on moving the season back 2 weeks. I somehow think those negotiations did not happen,
I'm
and
doubting it.
that the Big Ten is simply gifting the SEC this bid uh, out of the goodness of their hearts.
That feels more accurate.
Um, so, now they say that this was a consensus decision by the Big Ten coaches. I have not talked to any Big Ten coaches, not even Coach Mercer, about this particular topic. I mean, I was there at a press conference when he answered a question about it, but I didn't. I did not ask that question. And this is a topic, yeah, I have not broached with him. So I'm sure somebody in the press pool uh, this weekend will at some point broach the topic.
Yeah.
But we talked about this just on Monday's podcast.
Yeah.
Zach brought it up. It's like, well, what is the path right now? Well, the path is to get is to qualify for the Big Ten tournament and then go
Mm-hmm.
win the thing. Well, the go win the
That
thing now requires that
much
you be in the
harder.
top four.
Yeah.
Now, when we do the numbers, that isn't as awful as it sounds. I know it is to start 1-5 is awful, but there is a precedent here. Iowa did the Western version of their run at the end of last season, and they were the 3 seed. They went 1-5
Yeah.
in that Western version. They had just done so well against
Mm-hmm.
the
Everybody
Northeast and the
else.
Midwest that they were able, the Plains, the Midwest, and the East.
Yeah.
Big Ten is such a big conference now.
Coast to coast.
So I looked at the numbers. So last year, it took 18 wins in conference to get a top four. 17 was the five. So it was, I think, USC was at, uh, I forget which way it went. I don't remember. But yeah, it was 18 wins was the 4 seed, 17 wins was the 3 seed, and this is out of 30 games.
Yeah.
So an 18-12 record. I use now 1-5. What does that mean? That means they need to go 17-7 in conference the rest of the way. 8 series. This means winning every series and sweeping one of them. So
Nevertheless, that's not impossible.
that is not impossible.
I don't know that
Um,
I'd go as far as to say it's probable,
oh yeah,
but
I wouldn't at this
it's
point.
not
But
impossible.
no, even in when they snuck in 22, they won the last 5 series.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is not something, and I think I have more confidence in this pitching staff than I've had in a IU pitching
Yeah.
staff in a long time.
Just
Um,
they
they,
just one run to Vandy.
yeah.
And granted, it's midweek, but that's where it tends to be.
Well, I mean
Is
that's
it's
it.
still the bats. It's
Yeah,
still the same bats by and
exactly. It's the
large,
same
and
bats. So the difference is in the pitching.
yeah,
And IU has now, and this is the thing, IU's won 4 midweeks now.
yeah,
That tells me the depth is there. The depth of
yeah,
the pitching is there, and they continue to win midweeks against good teams, even with Bergman being sidelined.
yeah,
And if Bergman comes back, I have no clue what his status
yeah.
is. But
We
if
have not heard
Bergman,
anything in 2 days since
right,
we last recorded.
yeah. So I mean, that's one of those things. That topic is going to get broached this weekend. We're going to
Yeah,
hopefully get some more insight as to what's going on with Bergman. Is this a season? Is his career done? Is this just we'll see him again in 2 weeks situation?
yeah.
Will we see him? Not this coming. I don't think we're going to see. Well, they haven't. I mean, who knows? We may see him
We
this
haven't
coming weekend,
seen.
or maybe he'll be short open as opposed to
Yeah,
whatever. But the point
yeah,
is, we don't know. It could be any of those things.
yeah.
But if he does come back, that open. Now, I don't think it's enough to say go win 5 games in this
Right.
scenario at the Big Ten tournament. I don't see that. And
But the
especially
trend,
go 5 or lose one and then have to win 5 on top of
yeah,
that. I
yeah.
that I just
But I'm now less concerned about the pitching
yeah
at this point. Like, might actually have pitching that could
yeah, and you
challenge for
and you got a
that.
young group of hitters that may
Yeah,
figure some things out.
yeah.
I
Although you largely cut back on any home run potential
yeah. But at the same time, I think I listened to Austin Render's pregame interview with Coach Mercer. It was one of the most insightful pieces from him I've heard.
on the before Vandy.
Yes, and they addressed precisely what you were talking about, Cass, in Monday's podcast, and it is the fact that the team does a great job scoring early in games and cannot score late in games. And Coach Mercer went right to something I kind of hinted at, but he went completely into it. And that is, we are so good at scouting the other team's starting pitcher, and our young hitters get that drilled into their head and they know how to attack that guy. But the problem comes when either he adjusts because he realizes he's getting hit, or they go to a reliever. And either one of those things, in pressure situations in particular, are the IU hitters are not handling well.
They're just not there yet.
Mhm. But again, this is a team. Sunday, there wasn't a single transfer in the starting lineup on Sunday.
Yeah,
Not one. Pitcher and all 10 position players.
yeah,
Not a single transfer in that group. And only one was a junior. The others were freshman and sophomore.
yep.
So, there's growth potential there.
There
Um,
is.
but there's also now, unfortunately, no more time to ramp up. Uh,
There's we have lost our margin of error.
and you look at the upcoming schedule, there has to be a sweep in there.
Yeah,
This might be the weekend they have to get the sweep. And
yeah,
that's the part that's like, it may be need to be now. Minnesota may be the one opportunity. We don't know who Minnesota is. They may be really
right.
good. They may not be. Now, it's also possible that if Oregon, USC, and UCLA really tear through the conference, maybe it is only 17 wins that's necessary to get that 4 seed.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't bank on that. And I also
No,
don't know that 18 is going to be enough. It
right.
may it may may come out another way.
Yeah,
Particularly if those three do really well, and then it's like Nebraska, Purdue, Iowa, and Indiana fighting for that fourth
yeah.
seed.
Especially if you get weird tiebreaker stuff and all of that.
So,
You do not want to be the team that moves from the 4 seed tie to the to fifth seed on the tiebreaker.
yep. And I can almost say I know it's going to happen. I think it's going to
Oh
be
yeah.
some weird arcane tiebreaker, which
Yep.
by the way, if you go to iubase.com and click on standings, the tiebreakers are broken in real time now. So you can see that on our site. We're the only place that does this. So every game that updates, it automatically calculates the tiebreakers. The RPI gets updated nightly. And given how
Because
important
that's
this is,
yeah.
probably in another month, I'm going to switch that to hourly so that the RPI portion of the tiebreaker will update more regularly than it does. Right now, nightly I think is fine.
Yeah. We're far
uh,
enough out.
yeah. Um,
And
because
during the
obviously
middle of the week there's not much.
yeah, and mostly I have the tiebreaker here now because well, it needs to be there in order to be there for the end. The individual tiebreakers don't really mean anything at this point, but
Right.
I also want to, if you guys really want to follow along, you can see, oh, okay, how do these tiebreakers changed in these weird scenarios? So you'll be able to see the progression throughout the year in that. Although once we get to head-to-head tiebreakers, you do want to pay attention to those because those can continue barring multiple teams getting. I mean, that's the other thing. I think it would be especially hilarious if we get into like a 4-team tiebreaker
Uh-huh.
between
For that
3, 4,
fourth.
5, and 6.
Yeah.
If all it this that's what we'll demonstrate is if 4 teams all have the same record in conference,
Yep.
and it's a tiebreaker that determines which of them qualify, because among those 4, not all will be at-large bids,
No.
and that is going to be that's going to be one of those things that's just going to be Yeah, it was the fact that these four teams and how they played against Northwestern is going to determine
Yeah,
who who gets the who gets an opportunity
yeah,
to
a
to,
real shot.
to get that auto bid. Um,
Yep.
because no, it's going
Although,
to be one of the it's only because you have to be in that top four
yeah,
because it's just from a baseball perspective, it just doesn't make sense that anyone
yeah,
outside of that top four is going to be really going to be in contention
yeah,
for that trophy on Sunday.
yeah. Although I
Um,
still think weather's going to become the prevailing issue sooner that faster than that will.
yeah.
Because you with the as much as it would suck to be the team that gets bumped out of the top four because of tiebreakers, you still have the argument of, well, you should have won one more game. But with the weather, you can try to argue against the weather all you want, and it's not going to do you a lick of good. So,
Yeah, because you're going four on Wednesday, sorry, four on Tuesday,
or
four on
Tuesday.
Wednesday, um, two on Thursday. So that's the only place where you have any leeway. But if you do that, if you have to change it, if let's say you have to move two games to Thursday, that means that the losers in those games, or well, I'm sorry, it's confusing. Uh, yeah, the losers in
Yeah.
those games, or is it the
Yep.
win, whatever, however it
I
comes
think the
out,
losers.
the losers will then have to turn around and play another game
Yep.
that day,
Yep.
where we're back to doing double headers,
Yep.
which was part of the thing we were trying to get rid of. I mean,
Uh,
this the move they made in 23. They
yeah.
went to three games a day in 23 for a reason.
Yep.
The only in 23, the only way there would be a four game day would be if both, if necessary, games on Saturday got played.
Or extreme severe weather.
Right. As far as how it was scheduled.
Yeah.
Um, Now there's another way to get around that piece. If you did have the old-fashioned eight-team double elimination tournament, you could just get rid of the if necessary games and award to the transfer to whoever wins the first game. And the team that was in the catbird seed before still has an advantage because they in that case had played one fewer game than the other team. So it's not a it wouldn't have been a, oh, you're not rewarding them at all. Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Got they get to take a day off while the other team has to play an elimination game. I
Yep.
think that's a pretty big advantage.
And
And if
honestly,
you're gonna go to single elimination on Sunday anyway, why not just
yeah.
start on Saturday? I mean, it
Yeah.
still made everyone still was guaranteed two games. I mention it
One.
because oh, go ahead, Cass. I'm sorry.
Oh no, you go.
I mentioned it. I'm sorry. I'm amped up.
No, you're good.
uh, I, at this point, my desire would actually be to go back to the 8-team double elimination tournament.
That's what I was just gonna
Okay.
say was if this is the answer, I don't because in this version, 5 through 12 have a virtually non-existent chance of winning it. And so yeah, well, we talked about Nebraska as the 9 seed managed to make a run and get it. And if you do an 8-team tournament,
Mhm.
they don't even make it. But they wouldn't be making it with this format anyway.
Yep.
So, uh, if you're going to make it impossible for 9 to 12 anyway, why
Yeah.
not do it out to 8 and so at least 5 through 8 have a shot?
Yeah. And I hate to be this frank, but Big Ten's not going to be an 8-bid league.
Ooh,
So we're not talking about keeping potential at-large bids at home. Um, that kind of happened one year with Maryland because they had an RPI, but they did so bad in conference that and I don't think it was it's because they didn't make the tournament. No, I think it was because they just did bad in conference and it was in the Big Ten. So you just don't, it's not like the SEC. You don't get a pass for for being underwater in the Big Ten. So you know what? Take the top eight. Let
Yeah.
them go battle it out in Omaha like they always have with a real honest to goodness tournament
Yep.
where everybody starts on the same level.
Yeah.
You're still seeded. The number one team gets to play the number eight team.
Right.
There's an advantage there.
Yeah. And it's guaranteed 2 games for everyone who gets to go.
Yep. So if that is a concern, which because the other option is to do what the ACC and the SEC have done, which is just bring everybody and play a single elimination tournament.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know what the answer to this is because I just don't. But my suspect that the reason they are absolutely against that is that teams like Rutgers don't want to travel to Omaha to only play one game.
Yeah.
And there's to go to Omaha, get your butt kicked once, and then have to go all the way back to Piscataway.
Yeah.
That's a haul, and I
Yeah.
get that. I do
It's
understand that.
it's
But the
slightly
ACC,
easy.
but the ACC is going to make Stanford go all the way
Right.
to Durham or wherever they are to play one
Right.
game, clearly
Right.
get their butt kicked, and then get sent back.
Right.
If they can do it, I guess why can't the Big Ten?
Right. Well, and it's functionally no different for basketball. The only difference with basketball is that it's often Chicago or Indy, and so those
Yeah,
are closer. And periodically, I don't know if they'll keep doing Madison Square Garden now with the West Coast in play. They might just keep it Chicago. Yeah, it's a little bit closer than Omaha, but not much closer.
yeah,
Other sports do it. Other sports do it regularly.
yeah. Now, I have two other arguments. I'll go back to the old thing
Yeah.
we were talking about because, sorry, I know we're going all over the place here, folks, but that's
This
just,
is this is the least scripted we
yes.
are like ever.
Uh, to just piggyback on I like the tournament in Omaha.
Yeah,
And part of it, I've gotten to go twice, but, and what's really cool is the staff at Charles Schwab Field. This is their dress rehearsal for the College World
yeah,
Series, and the Big Ten gets to be that.
yeah,
The Big Ten gets to go to the cathedral of college baseball and have their premier event there. Um, in driving distance and in the market for the Big Ten team, which has by far the biggest fan following. And as much as I wish IU would take that crown from Nebraska, that's not
it's
happening anytime soon. The Nebraska that they regularly draw multiple
yeah.
thousands to their home games in Lincoln, and they have a whole bunch of alumni there in Omaha. And
They seem not their folks seem not too thrilled with this new format either.
how about that, Cass? What can you share with us on that?
Also, they the uh so it's called Corn Nation. It's their version of Crimson Quarry, the SB Nation thing. They had a write up for today of Big Ten announces new baseball tournament format. Uh, and they do acknowledge that this is replacing the failed pool play format from last year, which is fair. But in their first paragraph, they lead into this with in their continued effort to figure out a tournament format that Will Bolt and the Huskers can't win, the Big Ten Conference has announced its third format in as many years. So that kind of sums it up right there. I I got a kick out of that one.
Yep. And yeah, and it's I'm not at all surprised that that's the attitude.
Yeah.
Uh, because it's just daunting to look at this that it's just at this point you have to be one of the top four seeds if your goal is to get that auto bid.
Well,
And I also don't find the argument that the coaches group made. They made an argument, another argument they made in the D1 article, and granted, you have to have the subscription to get to that.
yeah,
But another argument in general that they made in that D1 article was that it's going to provide more game opportunities for the other teams that are in the 5 through 12 to improve their at-large resume. Keep in mind, the only teams that had an at-large resume going in last year were seeds 1, 2, and 4. That was it. Seed 3 did not. Seeds 5 and 6 did not. Nobody else had an at-large resume
No.
going into this tournament. Um,
And 5 through 12 playing each other is not gonna
Bingo!
do
How
anything.
is that going to help?
Right.
They need to play. The
1 through 4.
the 5, 6 teams playing in the pools with the better teams wasn't going to help them.
No.
But if anything's going to help them, they're going to need to play UCLA, USC, and Oregon in
Right.
order for it to matter. Well, the only way they play those is if they. I mean, I guess you can make the argument. Well, if they win 2 games early and then they get to go
And then,
play. But the point is the point we've been
but
making. They're gonna get killed because they're not
well,
gonna have the pitching.
even if they don't, I'm not convinced that the people making NCAA decisions will take into account. Oh, you beat these two teams and then you beat them, or in the off chance that the qualifier 3-4 could then go in and play 3 games and then beat. They're not going to care about that.
Yeah,
You might get a little bit of, oh hey, you beat UCLA. Oh hey, you beat Oregon. But they're not going to put it into context
yeah.
like that. So I don't really see the point. And I'm kind of fascinated that the some of the more national folks, the ones who aren't specifically Big 10, seem very impressed by this format.
I think they just want exciting games. They hate the pool play because of the dead games. And they're all like, "Oh, wow, this is gonna have." I think it's first of all, it's interesting. So they like anything
Yeah.
that's interesting.
And I like novel stuff. This is novel. I'll give it that.
And this is another thing. They want more at-large bids.
Yeah.
And the one thing all the other Big Ten tournament formats has done has been to encourage bid stealing. I think they like the fact that this is not going to have any. This is less likely to have bid stealing going
Yeah.
on.
But I would argue functionally in this one, there's 10 non-meaningful games because it functionally doesn't matter who comes out of the double elimination.
Yep.
They're not going to be able to run. You might occasionally get a team that can spoil one of the 1 through 4 in single elimination. A particularly good matchup, and they have just enough pitching depth. But you're not going to have someone who can go all the way through.
Yeah. And probably really only the 3-4.
Yeah,
That team that had to come out of the losers bracket
yeah,
to face the 1 and 2 team,
yeah,
and that's 3 games, and you
yeah,
just played an elimination game.
yep,
I mean, I guess it's possible that in that elimination game you run rule the other team and you
yeah,
don't have to use any bullpen. Maybe that's a scenario. And that may
yeah,
be where you have to lean on you got your offense has just got to go so good that you never need to use your good bullpen arms. But
yeah.
it's just I
But
find it just crazy.
yeah, again, functionally, that's 10 games that don't
Mhm.
functionally matter. I would rather take a couple of meaningless games in the pool format than this. Or you do, like we said, you go back to the 8 team double elimination, and there
Or
you really don't have.
or you do what the other
Or
leagues do and just go straight single
just
elimination
single
and
elimination.
just say,
Yeah,
okay, every game matters, and hey, you win 5, you
yeah,
you
you
win,
did
and
it.
you're not, and that third game isn't going to be against a team that's completely
Right,
freshly rested. Or
right.
sorry, maybe the third game, but
I,
the fourth game isn't. And
and as someone who tends to be a bit of a chaos gremlin, I like the chaos that just a full on single elimination tournament
mhm.
could give.
Yeah, and I get that there's gonna, but also in that you at least get the double buys.
Yeah,
So there's a buy and a double buy. So yes, the first game you have close teams in that one group will play each other, and then they'll feed into a group that gets a buy, and
yeah.
then those will
The
feed into a group that gets a
group that
buy.
gets an extra
Um,
buy. Yeah,
so yeah, it's a little tough for that that lower group, but this is the difference between the 4 and the 5 seed.
Right.
In the single elimination, at least that 5 seed gets a
Yeah.
bye. They don't
Yeah.
get a double bye, but they get a bye. So they're only one off from the 5 seed. In this case, a tiebreaker is likely going to determine whether a team can even compete in this. And that is
Yeah.
just, it to me is wrong.
Yes.
And I'm hoping this is the only year we have to see this.
Yes. Yeah.
And
So
I'm,
yay for potential fourth format in 4 years.
yeah, yeah.
Out of out of curiosity, with that single elimination, everybody in, does it make a difference that Wisconsin
Well,
does not play baseball? How does the odd man out work?
well, I mean, the women's basketball tournament uses 15. So
That's true.
and they do it on purpose.
Yeah.
So if they did include some, I say
Quite a
include everybody,
choice.
it may be 15. They may the point is it's all just the number of single and double buys that they you
Right.
just tweak that. It's actually very easy to do.
Okay.
So
I'm not a big bracket maker, so
yeah,
I just fill them out.
when it comes to single, it's actually pretty easy. It's how many teams are having to play on that opening day and how many get a bye.
Bye.
So
Okay.
and then the way it hashes out, there will be a couple teams that like get a bye that what that don't bring in a team from the other day. They just play each other because
Yeah.
they're in the middle. So
Yeah. Yep.
essentially, actually, Cass, this is how you do it. You take a 32 team tournament
Uh-huh.
and you lop off seeds 32 until you get to the number.
Yeah.
That's really
Okay.
it.
Yeah.
Last now I take that back. It's not quite that way because of the
Good.
how you have to. Yeah, but
Yeah.
the point is, it's no, it's pretty easy. It's pretty
Okay.
straightforward, and or just look at the SEC. I don't remember exactly. I think the SEC includes everybody, but again, you just
I
take
think
one
so.
of those off to make it
Yeah.
odd, and it's fine.
Yeah.
It's less cumbersome than trying to plan a series every weekend with every team. So
Yes.
where
That
you just have to have
definitely.
somebody playing non-con,
Yeah.
which is a problem for the Big Ten
Yeah.
because the Big Ten has to start so soon, and so
Yep.
much of the Big Ten is in the North. So
Yep.
uh, that's just
Yeah.
that's just nuts. You
And
have
it's not like weather's being particularly predictable this year.
I will actually give a tip of the cap to Purdue.
Okay.
I will I forgot exactly what department it is. It's agriculture, but
Mm-hmm.
my goodness, their grass was green.
Their
I was
turf
impressed with
management,
that.
their field
That was
management.
impressive because last year, same time of year, that grass at Penn State was brown.
Well, and
It
that's
wasn't much distinguishable from the dirt.
well, and that blows my mind because Penn State is traditionally like a turf field greens man.
It's not their
I
field though.
oh yeah, that's true.
That's why. It's not
I
their
hadn't even
field.
thought about that because I know a few people who did greens manage like golf
Yeah.
greens management
Okay.
from Penn State, and they're a very very good program for
Yeah.
that. Similar to
Yeah.
how Purdue's a very good program for that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
But Purdue chose to
They
build Alexander Field on campus with the
Yep.
intention of we're going to have the agriculture group prepare this
Right.
field and have it always nice. And they
This
did
is a school
fantastic.
project.
Yeah. And that early in the season to have it looking that good, again, I tip the cap to them because
Yeah.
that can't be easy.
No.
Um, and that had to be some real serious work to make that
Yeah.
happen because they said that
Yep.
at Penn State. I mean, didn't wasn't a problem. The play was fine at that Penn
But
State
it's
series last
still.
year, but it just you could tell it was like that grass is just dead.
Yeah.
And I have no clue. I mean, I wasn't out there running on it, so I have no
Yeah.
idea. Uh,
And I can't imagine diving on it would be
yeah.
all that enjoyable.
So again, but the point is there's a couple of different programs that play on grass in the north, and it's
Yeah.
just to have to play that soon on grass is just silly.
Even having to play that early on turf is
Yeah.
not always easy.
So what can we say the Big Ten has done for college baseball? Well, it is that the Big Ten has decided that they're not going to have a stolen bid. So
Yep. They're
SEC,
gonna
you've
have
got that.
consistency.
You just suck it up and let the season move back 2 weeks.
Yep.
And guess what? You get conference games in late May, which
Yes.
everybody in the country is gonna love, and we're gonna have
Yes.
packed fields everywhere around the country in late May when we
Yep.
have uh, conference matchups, is rivalry type matchups
Yep.
happening.
And I'll
God, it's good for all of us. We all need to
yes.
do this.
And I'll point out because we've been doing that opening weekend road trip for pretty much every year from 2020, other than last year because Arizona is not the most road trippable
Mhm.
location. Memphis, Friday was rained out because it was just downpour all evening. Uh, LSU, that Friday was about 35 degrees. We were all freezing. I can't imagine how the local folks were doing. We all had hand warmers and everything because we
Yeah.
knew better. Uh, let's see, which one was next?
Now, when we
Clemson?
showed up in the afternoon the next day,
Yes.
it felt really good to us.
Yes.
And
They were
the
still pretty.
and the ushers are all like, "What are you guys doing not wearing coats?"
Yes. Yes. But this is, I mean, LSU's about outside of Florida and parts of Texas. That's about as far south as you get. And it was 35 damn degrees. Like Clemson, it was cold on the for the evening game. Auburn,
It
it
was
was cold.
cold.
It
I
was
didn't even go to
cold.
the game. I got really
Yeah.
sick, and
Yeah.
I went outside, and we were and like Josh was like, "Why don't you just go outside for a little while and see if you think you can handle it?"
And
And I went outside for 20 minutes, and I'm like, no,
nope.
there's no way I can go watch a baseball game
No.
in this cold.
And then somehow we all went and got shakes afterward. I think there's something not right with us. Uh, and then Myrtle Beach was decent, a little chilly at times, uh, but it was snowing in mid Missouri
Yeah.
at the same time. So when the
Yeah,
ushers are
I think
like,
we lucked out on that trip. It
yeah,
was
it was
relatively
better than
nice.
it could have been.
Um, yeah,
And then this year was decent, a little chilly. That as it got into evening on Friday in particular,
yeah.
it got pretty chilly. But like this is all across the South, and it's or at least the Southeast.
At least not, yeah, not Florida. We're not talking about Florida. We're not talking about
Right,
Arizona and Southern California or
right.
Hawaii.
Or even parts of Texas. South
Yeah,
Texas would be fine. But this is Louisiana, Alabama, the Carolinas, like
it's cold in February,
yeah,
almost everywhere.
everywhere. And there are not enough Texas and Arizona and Southern California locations that you can play.
Yeah,
That you can play everybody there at the same time.
yeah.
It just doesn't work. So I think it makes sense for the vast majority of everybody to bump it back 2 weeks.
Yep. And again, yes, we've got more skin in this game because
Yes,
for one, we want more home games.
yes.
Uh,
And home games
we're
where we're
okay.
not
We're actually
risking.
okay with playing in the cold, provided it's here at the park.
Yes, I don't want to go to Louisiana to play in the cold. Pretty
Yeah.
please.
Um, and so and I don't, yeah, it's just, I think it makes so much sense. And the point is, we're starting to, and hopefully the hint that Wazakowski gave in that D1 article, which is that,
Mhm.
I mean, it was kind of a trust me bro thing, but but it's the season's going, he was confident the season's going to get moved back at some point. And the fact that Eric Bakich is back
Mhm.
on
Back
talking
on
about it from Clemson now,
from Clemson. Yeah.
which is a completely different tune than he said when at the Big Ten tournament in 22.
Yeah.
He seemed defeated then. The fact that he's saying, yeah, this can really happen, and his argument is it's going to be good for the South,
Yeah.
not just that it's going to be good. It's going to get more people to college baseball games.
Yeah. Because
Um,
outside of, I mean, LSU was packed regardless, but you're going to get more people who stick around longer if you bump it back 2 weeks in those early season games
Yeah.
when it's not, it's 35 degrees and my toes feel like they're going to
Yeah.
fall off.
Yep.
And you'll have a lot more people in late May.
Yeah. Which for the Midwest is going to be huge because we need to introduce the game to so many of our core fan group, of our
Hmm.
core fan base, who a lot of them don't even realize IU plays baseball
Right.
because it's like, okay, well, by the time I would go to a game, it's going to be mid-April and there's only two series left.
Yeah. Well, and that's like for me of my busy work season is like now through mid-May. There is only so much I can do in that stretch. Like I can't travel. I can't go anywhere. So that makes it really hard for me to get
Yeah.
out to the BART.
But we usually get one series in May at the BART.
Yeah.
Just doubling that to two series
Yeah.
could end up massively introducing this sport to so many
Yep.
more people. And
Yep.
suddenly realize that, hey, maybe this is good enough that it's worth bundling
Or
up
yeah.
in early March. Not
Yeah.
necessarily a midweek in February, but in early March.
Yeah. Or even at least coming out to those surprise, it's 70 degrees
Yeah.
day.
And just and even if it's just watching on Big Ten Plus,
Hmm.
which by the way, uh but through D1Baseball.com, $2.99 a month for 3 months, you can get Big Ten Plus to watch the rest of the baseball season and softball season. With a very good softball team, by the way. So,
Yes.
um, and that coverage gets better and better every year.
Hmm.
So,
Far fewer of the single static
mhm.
cameras that we had in the past.
So where hey, if you don't want to get come out in March, you follow the team that way, and then you come out in April, and then you can see four
Yeah.
series between April and May. That would be
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
would and they say you want to do two things. They announce out they say we want to grow the game,
Yep.
and they also say that the Big Ten ought to invest in baseball. And I
Yep.
think the Big Ten will invest in baseball. Yes, I know we're talking about them doing something really stupid, but
Yes.
but I think overall, I think they're coming from a good place. I
Yeah.
think they just didn't think this through.
Yeah.
That's what I just don't think as a group they thought this through. And of course, you have different people wanting different aspects of this.
Hmm.
Some don't want, they don't want to play meaningless games, and I get that. And they
Yeah.
want to play at least two.
Yep.
And other groups like we want to give the top four. And all of those things to some degree make sense. But the
Yeah.
fact that you kind of put that all into the mix and got
Yeah.
this was, and it's like at some point everybody needs to step back and is like, is this really what we want to do? And I think
Yeah.
they're going to discover, no, this was not really
No.
what you wanted to do,
No.
and it's gonna be bad. But honestly, I thought I was gonna be on a real rampage in this episode, and I don't think I was
I thought you
as
were too.
I was not as bad as I thought I was gonna be,
I
which
was
I know
about
is
to,
sad for some of the people listening
yeah.
to this because they were really hoping to see me just go completely off. Uh,
I was about to say screw it on the braces and make a thing of popcorn to just sit here and munch and watch the explosion.
uh, if we had done this at 3 o'clock today, it might have been like that. Because I took a moment while I was, shuffling old classroom gear around to look at my phone, and I was just like, and then I saw the bracket, and I was like, what is this? And part of it though was also looking at, because you're sitting here, I thinking, and I know I'm thinking about this from an IU perspective, and that's part of it. Is just right after the team goes 1-5 to start conference play, and it's like, but again, as I said, Iowa was 1-5 to end conference play and still
Yep.
got one of those top four.
Yep.
So there's a path, but this Minnesota series just became a lot more important. Where it was like, we just need to do well enough to
Yeah.
win a series, do well enough
Get
to
two
kind
or
of
three
get
and
that so that we can get into the tournament.
yeah.
And I get getting into the tournament an accomplishment in and of itself, but we were always last year it wasn't thinking about getting into the tournament from a oh, we just want this accomplishment of getting into the tournament.
Right.
In 22, it was kind of that.
Yeah.
To be
Yeah.
honest, it was kind of that. It was like, yeah, let's at least get this group some experience. And I'm
Yep.
not saying that isn't part of it. Getting them to
Yeah.
play on national TV, as young as the position player group is,
Yeah.
that could still make a big deal.
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, the idea that you're going to go in and think that you're going to go all the way to Sunday, that's just, it's mind-boggling.
Yeah.
Going 17-7 the rest of the way is not nearly as mind-boggling
No.
as going from the fifth seed in this tournament to winning it.
Yeah.
And that of itself is just crazy.
Yep. Yep.
So, yep. So I will be live blogging from the BART on Friday. Um,
I will not.
uh, yeah, I'm sorry, Cass. Uh, but so I will be live blogging from the BART on Friday. And I will also be writing the recaps for Friday and Saturday. But
Okay.
Zach will be back on Sunday, so he can write the recap on Sunday, uh, which is good because I have plans after the game for my
Nice.
50th birthday. So,
Ooh,
um,
that'll be nice.
yep. So, yeah. So, was there anything else you needed to touch on, Cass?
Nope, I think that pretty well we covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we and apologize for how much we meandered. I guess that's what you get for an emergency podcast,
Yep.
and that's
There
what you get if you've. And now I will say I am impressed if you have stuck with us this whole
yes.
time.
There
So I
there
and I
is
th
a
and I thank you, and I'm not also upset if you didn't stick with us this whole
correct.
time.
There's a reason why we lightly script. We go over what we're going to talk about, who's going to talk about what. There's a reason we do that. And this podcast is the reason.
But if you have stuck with us, really, really appreciate you for having done that. And say you didn't necessarily have to. So, uh, but for Cassidy Palmer, I'm Carl James. This will conclude this emergency edition of the Talking Hoosier Baseball podcast. Hopefully, we won't have to have something like this for a while. Hopefully, until next year when they announce yet another new format to this tournament, and we'll just jump right back. Though the other thing is, I'm hoping that when they do that, they do it like in January.
Yes.
Why
Before
they
the
did this in
season?
March at 2 weeks into the season, that's the
Yeah.
part that I was just, that's another thing that is just like,
Why?
let us get over this before play actually starts,
Yes.
please.
At least before Big Ten play.
Yeah, I would recommend January, but at least do it in February.
Yeah.
Let's not wait till March to make this announcement in the future. So, yes. So, games this weekend, live game blog up, and we will podcast on Monday and have it out sometime, hopefully, probably Monday night or early Tuesday, depending on how my sleep schedule goes. So, uh, so yes, we will see you at the BART.